One of the things that I quickly wanted to point out, because we're running towards the end of our show, is that if you can turn to Daniel chapter 8. And I want to begin at verse 15. I'm going to be reading verse 15 through 17. It states, "When I, Daniel, had the vision, I sought to understand. And behold, there stood before me one having the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, and it called, Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was frightened and fell on my face. But he said to me, Understand, son of man, that this vision is for the time of the end." Okay? So this has to be for the time of the end. Now, the question is, what end? If we continue, and if starting at verse 22 says, "Now here is speaking about these animals that were overpowering each other, representing, the four successive kingdoms that were to come, that were revealed to Daniel." And it says, "And as for the horn that was broken, in place of which four others arose, four kingdoms shall arise from his nation, but not with his power. And at the latter end of their kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their limit, a king of bold face, one who understands riddles, shall arise." It says, "His power shall be great, but not by his own power. He shall cause fearful destruction, and shall succeed in what he does, and destroy mighty men and people who are the saints. By his cunning he shall make deceit prosper under his hand. In his own hand he shall become great. Without the warning he shall destroy many, and he shall even rise up against" who? "The prince of princes, and he shall be broken." But look what it says, "by no human hand. The vision of the evenings and of the mornings has been told, is true. Seal up the vision, for it refers to many days from now." If you notice here, the end is describing when this particular leader that comes out of the fourth kingdom, right? And when did that happen?
Well,
that happened during the Roman system in Rome, right? So when we look at, for instance, the Caesar, what were the Christians battling at the time? Who was Lord to them? Christ. Christ was Lord. And what was Rome doing to the Christians? Because they would not affirm that Caesar was Lord. They were being killed, and they were being martyred. So you see here that actually, when you notice that it speaks about it being not overcome with the human hand, I think that this is actually making a historical reference, that the fact of the matter is that final kingdom that's revealed in Daniel, because I don't know if you guys have ever questioned this, but I've always wondered, why those four kingdoms? Why did God particularly focus on those four kingdoms? Because after all, he's given authority to other kingdoms, right? There were other things going on in other places in the continents. But what the difference is, that these were the kingdoms that had kingship, in a sense, of rulership over Israel. And what we see is that because Israel was not faithful to God, God then took their authority and gave it upon the Gentiles, just as he said it in the book of Deuteronomy, right? Where he said, if you don't do as I say, then I'm going to drive you out of this place, and I'm going to put you under the Gentiles. So this is actually a fulfillment of that. And what we're seeing is that the four kingdoms, what was each head of that kingdom? A king of kings, right? So what happens is that in Christ defeating the Roman kingdom, that is a way that it shows us that he is the King of Kings. Because what did Rome eventually fall to? It fell to Christianity.